Hey, what's going on, guys? In this video, I'm going to be breaking down my favorite prospect for the 2023 NFL draft class, that is being Will Anderson. Of course, this is going to be the same format as the last video I posted with Jalen Carter. I'm going to be giving his stats, the player build, my scouting report, strengths and weaknesses, player comp, and then we're going to be looking at some of his, tape that he put out. So, let's get right into this video. All right, so Will Anderson Jr. is an edge rusher out of the University of Alabama, 6'4", 243 pounds, listed on ESPN. Of course, the combine could change that. 21 years old, and he was a junior at Alabama last year and has declared for the NFL draft, of course. His stats in 2022, he played in 13 games, of course, no college football playoffs. He played in 659 snaps with 24 tackles, 30 stops, 59 total pressures, which was third in 2022 in the FBS. Last year, he had 81, which was second. He had 36 quarterback hurries, 9 quarterback hits, 17 tackles for loss. And then 2021, he had 34, which led the FBS. And then he had 10 sacks last year. But in 2021, he had 17 and a half, leading the FBS once again, and even had one interception to go on top of it. Going over his strengths and his weaknesses, a massive strength, of course, was his college production. In 3 years, had 207 total pressures, 34 and a half sacks, and 49 tackles for loss as a 3-year starter. Also, always awesome to look at 3-year starters, and had the most pressures out of anybody in college football over the past 3 years. He also has the accolades, 2-time Bronco Nagurski Trophy winner, also a 2-time SEC Defensive Player of the Year, 2-time unanimous MVP as well. He's a great run defender. He generates a ton of pressure off of the edge. He's a quick first step. He's strong for his size, of course, 243 pounds, packs a definite punch, plays with great pad level, phenomenal athlete, and has great football IQ, and is really good at reading and diagnosing plays from the line, seeing him adjust in game. And then moving on to his weaknesses, of course, he does heavily rely on his physical ability and may need to develop more and better pass rush moves. He is like a 50-50 bull rush guy, and then he's the other 50%. He'll just try to win in any way possible. And then you'll get in those pass rush moves, but I think in the NFL level, definitely has to develop those more. He may need to bulk up due to a slighter frame, 243 pounds, relies on his physical ability. He might be stopped by a lot bigger offensive linemen at the next level. Will Anderson, my favorite prospect in the 2023 NFL draft class? Well, it's one reason: dominance. When I watched him at Alabama and when I watched Alabama play, you could see his impact on almost every single play. Had 17 and a half sacks. He was my number one player in the preseason. He has had he's been a 3-year starter. He's been phenomenal his entire college career, and I think that translates over to the NFL. But looking at his film, we can see that dominance. And then my final weakness is that he may need to finish plays better. I think tackling was slightly one of his weaker points watching it. The running backs were able to slip out a little easily. Maybe needs to secure that aspect a little bit more at the next level, but I think that could be definitely an easy fix, and some might not even see it at the next level. Here's a great play by Will Anderson against Cincinnati using that bull rush. You can see him right over here, big red circle, and puts his hands right through the pad levels and forklifts offense tackle, and then finishes the play for... He gets credited with a half a sack here. Of course, this is Cincinnati. This was the college football playoffs. Once again, forklifts, but doesn't get to him before number 8 does. But great play there, showing off his physical ability and then his bull rush. Here's Will Anderson on the outside, showing off his bend around the edge, of course, on number 73. This play shows Will Anderson's effectiveness. One-on-one on an island, only one on this side. 35-34 game. Needs to stop, of course, with Hendon Hooker, and is forklifting the offensive line to force a bad throw, and that gets picked off by Williams, number 2. Looking at it again. Just uses that bull rush and quick speed off the line, gets inside the pads, and plays very high on the offensive tackle. All right, here we see Will Anderson over here on a stunt that Alabama commonly loves to run. They love to run stunts a lot, as we'll see on film. Another angle on the play, just finds the quarterback and then settles him on the ground. Here's another great play by Will Anderson, showing off the bull rush and the athleticism with the power here. Auburn quarterback does just walk into him, but great play, Will Anderson. Here's Will Anderson's ability off of a tight corner, just running right by that right tackle with the swim move as well, giving a quick hand usage there. This play greatly shows off his quickness off the line and then his diagnosis of runs. Sees the handoff and everybody going, and the chop block by Darnell Washington just doesn't even matter. It still gets in the hands, or in the frame of James Cook, sorry. Here's Will Anderson shutting down a triple option with KJ Jefferson, looking back at it, makes eye contact with Will Anderson, just absolutely barreling down, and just decides not to hand it off because it's going to get blown up. Takes the hit, Will Anderson focuses on the running back, and then KJ Jefferson has to figure out something and gets still a negative. Will absolutely blown up by Will Anderson. Here's Will Anderson at the 3 tech, which is incredibly rare. It doesn't matter. He'll still get pressure from anywhere on the field. Another stunt play by Alabama. Will Anderson just gets there instantly. Another 2-second sack. Inside shoulder of the offensive tackle. Can win basically everywhere on the defensive line. Inside shoulder, outside shoulder, straight through the offensive tackle. But then the final thing I wanted to show you guys was, where I wanted to point out his weaknesses. Here is my example of his frame and then his pass rush moves. So the first play doesn't go over well, of course. Is hit through other offensive tackles. But this is my biggest one, where it's sometimes what he usually does is he'll just try to use his athleticism and his, just that ability to try to just move through offensive tackles. And this is, of course, Darrell Wright, 6'6", 330 pounds. So the bull rush quite doesn't work on him. Tries to go to a spin, but the play goes off. And then the next play, once again, another bull rush, and just wasn't very effective. So how do draft analysts view him? Well, they either have him as the number 1 or number 2 prospect on their top 50. Of course, I like to always quote Daniel Jeremiah, my favorite analyst. I think he gets it right more than a lot of other ones. All right, so my player comp for Will Anderson is Khalil Mack. Now, and here are the updated combine numbers. I made this the day before he was tested. 6'3.5" at 253 pounds. Very similar in frame to Khalil Mack, who came out of the combine at 6'3", 251. They both have great frames, they both have similar frames and great athleticism, both great pass rushers. They're both great run defenders as well, who easily read plays at the line. They both had a lot of college dominance, Will Anderson at Alabama, of course Khalil Mack at Buffalo. They're incredibly fast off the line, and they have great twitch, and they're dominant versus 1v1s. However, they still have some differences where Khalil Mack uses a lot less of the bull rush, and Mack has better bend and technique, and Mack had very great bend out of college as well. Now, importantly, a lot of comparisons for Will Anderson tend to be Von Miller. However, they're different players based on the way they win. Von Miller wins because of his incredible generational bend. Meanwhile, Will Anderson wins the majority of the time physically through his bull rush. As stated before, Will Anderson, of course, being my favorite player in the draft class, I have him as an early first rounder and a top 5 worthy pick. Similar grade to Jalen Carter. Once again, another blue chip prospect, a guy that I think is going to work out in the NFL and have immediate impact. My potential for him is Pro Bowl. Just to be more secure, as I said for Jalen Carter, I think he could be an all-pro type of guy. I think Will Anderson can also be an all-pro type of guy, but the position is very difficult to earn that awards. You got TJ Watt and you got Micah Parsons still there. Teams likely to draft are the Bears, the Cardinals, and the Seahawks. I don't think he escapes the top 5, or a team wants to trade up and get him, but I think Will Anderson is one of those players that is called a generational edge rusher, and I agree with that statement, of course. 35 sacks, 3-year starter, 207 pressures, which was the most in college football in the last 3 years, and I have him as my blue chip prospect. Alright, so that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts about Will Anderson. Let me know some prospects that I should grade next, and I'll see you in the next video.